Hello, everyone. Welcome back to World History. By now, everyone should be settled in. You should have your notebook or binder out, or a piece of paper so that you can put your notes in your folder, a pen or pencil out, and a drink or snack if you would like, as long as you are paying attention to the lesson. Now, this is just a friendly reminder that there should be no phones, no one should have their headphones on, and there should be no sleeping or talking while the lesson is in session. Now, anyone caught disregarding any of those rules, unfortunately, like I mentioned last week, we will have to start the lesson all over again just so that you do not miss out on any information. So just let that be a motivation for you to focus and pay attention in class. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Right now, you should go ahead and write down Chapter 1, Lesson 1, Constantinople. Again, write down Chapter 1, Lesson 1, Constantinople. I'll take a moment to pause the video so that you can go ahead and write this down. Wonderful. So, let's go ahead and move forward. Our essential question for today: how did the Byzantine Empire connect and influence both the ancient and medieval world? Our objective, students, you guys, will understand the significance of the Byzantine Empire as a continuation of the Roman Empire and its role in connecting different cultures through trade and conquest. In other words, we are going to study and analyze the Byzantine Empire and its influence in the ancient world and how we are still influenced today. Go ahead and scan the QR code. This is our do now. However, I call it a Twitter response. No, you are not going on Twitter. We are going on a public discussion board to talk about a question. So at this time, all of you can pull out your phones, you can scan the QR code, and you will be redirected to our Padlet. On there, you will have a question. Our question will discuss today's lesson. Again, at this time, all of you in class should go ahead and take out your phones, scan the QR code, and answer the question that is on the Padlet. I will go ahead and pause the video so that you can take a moment to be redirected to our online discussion board. At this time, everyone should be seeing this screen, which is the Twitter response. Our Twitter response is titled right here, and you have a question: why do you think people chose to live in certain cities a long time ago? If you're in first period, you will answer underneath first period. All you have to do is click on the plus sign, on the subject line, add your name. It could be your first name and last initial, and then respond here. Now, if you would like to add a GIF, you can. Make sure it's school appropriate, of course, but you can add a GIF. And when you're done, click publish. Now, if you're like me and you want to stand out, go ahead and change the color so that your response can be unique. And that's it. We'll be able to see everyone's posts in real time in the classroom. I will go ahead and pause right here so that we can see the response from everyone in class. You will have a minute or two to answer the question: why do you think people chose to live in certain cities a long time ago? Take a moment to respond. At this time, there should be no talking. Everyone should be working on their do now. While you are working on that, I will display the discussion board in the classroom so that we can all see your response. Again, you need to include your name and your response. You can keep it short, but everyone needs to submit their answers to receive credit. Okay, let's talk about it as a class, and we'll return to this presentation. All right, that was a great discussion. So let's dive into this, because before we learn about the Byzantine Empire, we need to understand why we study history. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about why we even care about history. So I want all of you to think of history as the OG Netflix series, right? History is full of drama, it's full of unexpected twists, and some serious life lessons. I want you to imagine binge watching a show that spans centuries, okay? Spans centuries, and there's a lot of epic battles, love stories, betrayals that you could ever want. But here is the kicker. Instead of just watching, we are binge learning, okay? Every empire that rose, every leader that fell, it's all a part of a storyline that leads up to where we are today. And guess what? We are living in the latest season, building off everything that came before us. So yeah, history is not just some boring subject. I want you to think of it as the ultimate saga that we get to uncover and learn from. Now, you do not need to write this down. I will let you know when to take notes in class. What I need you to know, though, is that history helps us understand the world today, and it's a map. It's showing us where we've been and where we are going. So, I want us to rewind for a second. Do you guys remember the pyramids, those massive triangles in the desert? They weren't just for show. They were the original flex. Like, look at what we can do. The Egyptians were literally building these colossal structures to show off their power and connect with the gods. Also, I want to fast forward for a bit, and we've got Rome, where the vibe was all about gladiator games. Imagine ancient UFC, but with even more drama, if you can believe it. These guys, they weren't just fighting for sport. It was a whole spectacle with emperors watching from the stands like it was the Super Bowl. Every one of these events, it set the stage for the world we're about to dive into today. They all had influence, right? Think of ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, classical civilizations like Greece and Rome, which, by the way, shout out to me right over here in Rome and Greece, right? I want you to really take a moment to reflect on these civilizations and how it impacted us today. So let's go ahead and take a minute to talk about it. Turn to the person next to you. Why do you think the Egyptians and the Romans built such massive structures like the pyramids and colosseums? What message were they trying to send to the people around them and for future generations? I want you guys to turn to each other. Let's get to understand each other's thought process and comprehension. Take a moment. And in a few, I will call on a few of you to volunteer and answer this question. Okay, so at this time I will pause the video to answer the question, to have someone answer the question in class. The fall of the Roman Empire. All right, you guys, so here's where things get real interesting. Now, we've all heard of Rome before, right? It's not a surprise. Rome was this massive and unstoppable empire, kind of like Iron Throne in Game of Thrones. But with all that power came some serious drama, okay? There were power struggles, there was betrayal, and eventually the whole empire split in two, kind of like a messy breakup if you want to think about it like that. The western part basically crumbled under all the pressure, kind of like a plot twist, right? But hold up, the eastern part, which we now know as the Byzantine Empire, was still thriving. It's like when your favorite show gets a spin-off and you realize it's just as good, if not better, than the original. Okay? Go ahead and write this down. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, and the Eastern Roman Empire became the Byzantine Empire. I'll take a moment to pause the video so that you can write this down. Let's talk about Constantinople. This was the ultimate hotspot of the ancient world. Think about it like this. Imagine it being like Times Square, but with way more culture and way fewer billboards. This city was where the East met the West, and it was buzzing with life, okay? It had traders, it had artists, it had scholars. Everyone wanted to be there because it was the place to be. Think of it as the world's biggest cultural mashup, right? Where ideas and goods and people from all over the world came together. It was more than just a city, it was the center of the universe for anyone who wanted to make it big back then. At this time, I want everyone to go ahead and write this down. In 285 AD, the Roman Empire was split by Emperor Diocletian. Now, the Eastern Roman Empire officially became the Byzantine Empire, and Constantinople was a cultural and trade hub. I will go ahead and pause the video so that you can write this down in your notes. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and continue. So the Byzantine Empire was basically the original go big or go home type of vibe, right? Justinian was one of their most legendary emperors and was like, let's make this empire the biggest and baddest it can be. And he didn't just talk the talk, he actually went on a conquest spree. This man was reclaiming lands left and right and was expanding the empire's borders like nobody's business. But here's the thing, keeping all the land and power together, it was not as easy as it sounds. In fact, it's like juggling a bunch of flaming swords, right? It's really impressive if you can pull it off, but if you make one wrong move, it could all come crashing down. So, the Byzantine Empire, write this down, it grew, however, it faced challenges in defending its borders. Also, Justinian I was a key ruler who expanded the empire. Constantinople remained a well-protected center of the empire. I will go ahead and pause this video so that you can take a moment and write this information down. All right, let's continue. Let's talk about this. Justinian wanted to expand the Byzantine Empire and reclaim lost territories. Question, what do you think are the risks and rewards of trying to expand an empire? Can you think of any modern examples where countries have tried to expand their influence? Take a moment, turn to the person next to you, and talk to each other, because I'm curious to know. And when the time is up, we'll talk about it as a class. All right, let's pause and talk about this as a class. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so now I want to introduce you guys to the ultimate power couple. They are known as Justinian and Theodora. If there was an ancient version of, let's say, Beyonce and Jay-Z, it was definitely these two people. They weren't just ruling this empire, they were actually making moves. You see, they were changing laws, and they were leaving a legacy that people would talk about for centuries. Now, Theodora, she wasn't just the empress, she was Justinian's right-hand woman. She would advise him and even rule on her own when he was down with the plague. Both of them together were unstoppable. They showed everyone that two heads, especially as one as smart as Theodora, was better than one. So, write this down. Justinian met Theodora, who was a politically savvy partner. Together, they ruled the empire and made significant changes. And they created the Code of Justinian, which became the foundation for European law. I will go ahead and pause this video in the classroom so that you can go ahead and write this down. Also, just look at their face card. Incredible, amazing. Up next, let's talk about the decline of the empire. So, just when everything was getting good, The Byzantine Empire hit a major roadblock, kind of like when you're streaming your favorite show and suddenly the Wi-Fi cuts out. The plague swept through the entire empire like a bad connection. It slowed everything down, causing a massive loss or losses. The empire took a major L, with people dying left and right, and things just weren't the same after all. But even as things fell apart, they left behind some pretty incredible stuff. One notable landmark that was left behind is the Hagia Sophia, which is a building so epic that is still standing today. Let me see if I can add it here on the screen for you guys. This building inspiring awe and showing the world what the Byzantines were all about. Now, go ahead and write this down. The plague hit the empire hard, killing a quarter of the population. The Hagia Sophia, commissioned by Justinian, was a symbol of the empire. The empire's decline led to its eventual fall to the Ottomans. I will go ahead and pause this video so that you can finish writing this down in class. Okay, we're moving on. So, turn and talk. The plague hit the Byzantine Empire hard, leading to its decline. How do you think a modern society might respond to a similar crisis today? What lessons could we learn from how the Byzantines dealt with their challenges? Turn to a partner in class and talk about it. We will get back in just a moment, and we'll have someone share with the class their response. Okay, let's go ahead and pause this video so that you guys could talk as a class, and I'll call on a few of you guys. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the legacy of the Byzantine Empire, because this is really important for you to know. Now, the Byzantine Empire, they were the original trendsetters. They passed on culture, they passed art, and different laws that we're still using today. You know how certain trends, they just never go out of style? That's pretty much what the Byzantines did. They set the blueprint for so many things that came next, from the Renaissance art to our modern legal systems. Basically, they were ahead of the game, and we're still feeling their influence centuries later. So the next time you see a mosaic or you hear about Roman law, I want you to remember you've got the Byzantines to thank for that. Go ahead and write this down. The Byzantine Empire passed on Greco, which means Greek, and Roman culture. It influenced Islamic art and the European Renaissance, and it left a lasting impact on law, art, and architecture. I'll take a moment to pause this video in the classroom so that you can write this down. So, let's go ahead and do a quick little recap to make sure that you got all the information that you needed for today's lesson. Today, we covered the importance of Constantinople in history. We talked about the power couple Justinian and Theodore's impact on the Byzantine Empire, and we talked about the lasting legacy of the Byzantine Empire. Hopefully you guys were all paying attention and you learned something new in today's class. Does anyone have any questions? Do I see any hands? Let me go ahead and take a moment to pause this video to answer some of the questions in class. Let's go ahead and talk about today's classwork and what you'll be working on this week. The title of this assignment is called Build Your Own Empire, a 21st Century Remix. What? What does that mean? Well, let's go on Canvas and find out. So, let's go on Canvas. This is what you should be looking at. You should be on the World History main page. By now, you should know to click on Modules. And you see here that Q1, Week 2, with this week's dates, is currently published. What you will do is you could do one of two things: click on Week 2 Agenda, or click on Build Your Own Empire, a 21st Century Remix. Since we're focused on the lesson and its assignment, let's go here. So this gives you the breakdown of what we are doing in class this week. So your objective is to apply pretty much what you've learned by creating your own modern day empire using the characteristics of the Byzantine Empire. Now, you will be creating your own groups, and please do not break my trust. I am going to give you this privilege as long as you can show me that you're able to choose responsibly your own teams. Now, your instructions. You and your group will choose your empire's identity. Okay? So you'll choose a theme for the empire. Examples are gaming, fashion, social media, etc. You decide on the empire's name, you decide on the empire's core values, and some of the main different goals. I want you to design the capital city. Okay, so you'll create a sketch or a digital design of the empire's capital city. The city should include different key elements like a trade center, a cultural hub, and a strong defense system, just like Constantinople. Now, your final step is to create a draft, which is a short list of laws that their empire will follow. Okay, so just a set of rules inspired by the Justinian Code. You can do some research on this. The laws should reflect the values and needs of your designed empire. Now, next week, you and your group, you and your team will prepare a short presentation, not too long, 2 to 3 minutes, because we have a lot of people in this class, and you'll introduce the empire to this period. You should be able to explain the choices that they made, that your group made, and how the empire reflects what you learned about the Byzantine Empire. Every person in this group is responsible for sharing their knowledge and to showcase that you contributed to the overall success of this team. Now, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. At this time, I will stop the video to answer any other questions for those students that are in class. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you like this video on Canvas. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more of these videos. Have a good day, everyone.